because people don't have experience of actually having lived and worked in a place. They build their perceptions by what is reported by other people say. And the concept of Africa as, Africa, the corporate environment, Africa, the continent with multinationals, Africa, the continent with, highly educated professionals going about their business, Africa, the continent with infrastructure, that whole concept is shaped by other people's experiences. And so for me, it was a real eye-opener. Of course, as an African, Africa is developed. It's a lot more developed than people make it out to be sometimes. And there's a lot more depth to Africa than just the images we see. But I think part of that, my understanding and grasp of Africa from that perspective, that highly sophisticated perspective you talked about, also came not just from the internship, but out of all the other subsequent work. Following the internship, I knew I wanted to work in Africa. And I knew I wanted to work in an organization that meant I could travel around in Africa and actually experience the variety and depth of experience, whether that's professional or business. But you will find that increasingly, in my experience, that even those expats who work and live on the ground in Africa have a very good and highly informed perspective. And I think this is something that increasingly both Africans and expatriates who've had experience of Africa need to translate and sort of convey to others on the other side of the world. The fact is that Africa is one of the most complex, diverse, and intriguing places professionally you will ever find. And there is a very specific type of business culture in Africa. And it's interesting that a lot of global multinationals today are talking about going local. And you can understand why. It's not just enough to make your big decisions sitting in The Hague or in London or New York. You actually have to have boots on the ground. And it's because of that unique local taking perspective that a lot of multinationals are wanting to locate their businesses in Africa. It's a very different experience. You can't really grasp and understand that remotely. And I think people are understanding that, and those who know and love Africa and have done business in Africa understand that. And I think so the tide is certainly shifting in another direction, and it's really interesting and exciting. Because the world is increasingly moving towards emerging markets. Global economic balance of power is shifting. We're talking increasingly about South-South cooperation, about China, India, Brazil, Russia, South Africa, the big economies in sub-Saharan Africa, Nigeria, and Kenya. It makes absolute sense to want to understand and grasp Africa because it's also a mode of, it provides a framework for doing business successfully, engaging successfully in a professional manner in Africa. It's a very different ballgame, and I think one of the key assets of the course is the sort of bespoke element, which means you're trying to understand not just Africa as a whole, but Africa in its diverse parts. So, the business culture in Francophone Africa is very different from business culture in Anglophone Africa. And this is something a lot of people have not grasped. In sort of my field of work over the last few years, people ask about, why is it that in Francophone Africa you have so many French interests in places like Cote d'Ivoire? It's a very unique type of business culture. Absolutely. In other parts of Africa, deals are struck over canopies and cocktails. You have to really grasp those nuances, and I think this is where I see the Africa Business Management course really providing unique insight and perspectives, and also because the course will be delivered by people who understand and know about Africa, professionals who've worked in Africa, people who will have cut their teeth in London or Wall Street, but also have both not just personal, cultural, family experience in Africa, but also professional experience in Africa, and that is an entirely unique combination. You saw, as cost tutors in themselves, I think, are real assets in terms of the delivery of the course. So I couldn't recommend this highly enough. For me, it's certainly the first of its type I've seen. I think it has the potential to grow and reach out to a wider constituents of people and attendees.